Hello dear students, this is Singh and you are watching Booster Classes. Well, today I will give you the core of a very interesting chapter in a lucid and coherent manner so that you can apprehend with ease every bit of the storyline. Now, the chapter is Evans Tries an O-Level, written by a truly gifted writer, Colin Dexter. And yes, with this, the literature portion of Standard 12 CBSE will be over. However, stay tuned because shortly I'm going to upload video lectures on writing skills as well as MCQs of important chapters. So what are you waiting for, my students? Hit the subscribe button and get benefited. Before I begin with the storyline, let me give you its overview first. The story, Evans Tries an O-Level, written by Colin Dexter, is an escape mystery, a thriller depicting how a prisoner named James Roderick Evans, known as Evans the Brave popularly, is able not only to devise foolproof plan for escape from prison but also procure items like false beard, a pair of spectacles, a dog collar and so on for his disguise. In spite of all the extra precautions prison authorities took to keep him in. What comes as a great surprise in the plot of the story is the element of mystery that becomes intense as the escape is right under the nose of prison officials. The comic element in the mystery gets highlighted when the officials themselves escort the prisoner out of jail. At times, overdoing things and also overlooking minor details, yet important ones, can backfire. And this is what exactly happened in the plot. On one hand, the well-equipped and efficient jail authorities led out a foolproof network of security to keep Evans from breaking away from jail. But on the other hand was the prisoner himself, who too had meticulously laid out for himself a foolproof plan that worked out well because of his crafty brain and above all with the help and involvement of an intelligent team that was good at befooling others and seeing to the fact that their plan should not go awry. This interesting story starts with the secretary of the examination board receiving a call from the governor at Oxford prison requesting him to create an examination center in the prison for one of the prisoners named James Roderick Evans was willing to appear in O-level German exam to be held on June 8. He was already preparing for this exam because he had been taking individual tuition from German tutor since last September. Though both the secretary and the governor saw his sudden interest in German as strange but harmless, so both of them bent to Evans' request to let him take the exam. And it was decided by them that Evans would appear for exam in the cell itself and a parson from St. Mary's Church would invigilate. It was also decided that Evans would not be allowed to communicate with the outside world. But towards the end, it will be revealed out that the teacher, whose identity somehow was not verified, and his sole student used those 6 months primarily to craft this escape plan. Now, once the exam was fixed, the governor was determined to outwit Evans, so he was extra cautious in Evans' case. Actually, there was always a lurking fear that Evans might use the exam session to break out of prison for the 4th time. Therefore, the governor personally wanted to monitor all security arrangements. If Evans were to escape, it would affect definitely the governor's reputation as the head of the prison. The officers took all possible precautions for the smooth conduct of the exam. There was a tight security in the jail and cell was thoroughly searched because Evans had successfully escaped from jail earlier also. Evans' cell is budged because the prison officers have to be extra cautious with Evans, and also that the governor can himself keep a strict watch on the activities of the cell during the examination by listening to each and every conversation in the cell. Two small square tables were set opposite each other and two hard chairs were placed in front of the tables just to turn the cell into exam room. Timeline is pivotal in this story because we'll find that over the course of just a few hours, the bulk of the story will be unfolded and readers will come to know how every minute counts in Avon's complicated escape plan. Moreover, noting the time is the author's way, one of the ways of alerting readers that something important is going on. So let's find out what happened on Monday, 7th June, 8:30 p.m., a day before the exam. The German teacher wished him good luck in German, but Evans failed to understand it. Thus, the teacher was doubtful of Evans' language proficiency because he felt that Evans could not even understand basic pleasantries in German. And he declared that Evans did not have a cat and hell's chance of getting through. The German teacher was doing so, or he declared so, because he was perhaps trying to deter Evans from undertaking a plan that was bound to fail. Because he was, after all, his friend, that will be revealed out very soon now. But Evans gave an ironical twist to the teacher's observation by saying that he was expecting to surprise everyone by doing well in the exam. In reality, it was a forewarning that Avon was going to jolt everybody by his masterminded perfect escape plan. Now, on 8th June, 8:30 a.m. in the morning, that is the day of the examination, Mr. Jackson, senior prison officer on the D wing, and Mr. Stephen, newly recruited prison officer, visited Avon's cell to take all precautionary steps and to have a strict vigil during the conduct of O-level exam for Avon's. Jackson took 2 hours searching Avon's cell but found nothing hidden there, and very confidently he reported the same to the governor. However, he asked Stephen to remove everything sharp from Avon's, that is his nail scissors, nail file and razor that might help Avon's injure himself. And Stephens was ordered to stay inside the cell till the examination. Jackson also ordered Evans to remove his filthy looking red and white bobble hat. Now, Evans knew that there must be a tiny core of compassion somewhere inside of Jackson. So he used his emotional intelligence to cleverly appeal to the senior officer's empathy, telling that the hat brought him all sorts of luck in life. It was like a lucky charm for him, and he should certainly wear that hat when he would appear for the exam. Ivan was thus permitted to keep his hat. Ivan was reluctant to remove his hat because if he had done so, everyone would have come to know that he had clipped his hair short in order to look like McCleary. Now at 8:45 a.m. what happened? Evans' invigilator, that is the one who was supposed to be from St. Mary's Church, McCleary, Reverend McCleary, but here the original McCleary will not arrive, because on the way something will happen. Before he starts for the prison, what happened? Let us see. What happened? The invigilator, McCleary, who is later revealed to be his accomplice, a friend, impersonating the real McCleary, left his bachelor flat and made his way across town to Oxford prison. In his brief suitcase, he was carrying the yellow invigilation form, the exam or the question paper in a sealed envelope, a special authentication card, which is deeply ironic over here, because he, the one who will reach Oxford prison as the invigilator, is not the authentic invigilator from the examination board. He also had, the fake McCleary also had the Bible, a paper knife, and an issue of the Church Times, that is the newspaper. Thus, the fake McCleary had brought everything for the satisfactory fulfillment of his duty as an invigilator, and this is why nobody could figure out anything. He was even carrying the things that would be required for the escape of Evans. He wore an extra clerical collar and a clerical front, even two overcoats to be used by Evans to disguise as the invigilator for his escape. Now, sharp at 9:10 a.m., same on 8th June only, the receiver was switched on by the governor. He was sure that Evans could not break out the prison this time, because there were two more locked doors between his cell and yard had a high wall. Even prison officer, every officials were on alert. 9:12 a.m. in the morning, the governor realized that something he had overlooked. He realized that it was not enough to remove potential weapons Evans might have and make sure that he was securely locked in. McCleary could have unknowingly brought something that Evans could use against as a weapon to harm him or to do something, anything else he could have done. So he ordered at once Jackson to search McCleary. Jackson now here once again he showed his negligence even in searching McCleary. Earlier also he was a bit negligent while searching Evans' cell. Now once again he didn't search McCleary thoroughly. Otherwise his fake false beard and two collars and the two gowns could have been identified. The only thing that puzzled Jackson in the suitcase was a semi-inflated rubber ring. So he questioned McCleary about it. McCleary irritably explained that it is a special cushion for him to sit on because of his hemorrhoids problem. Whereas the actual purpose of bringing or carrying that rubber ring was that they have stored pig's blood mixed with human blood to stop clotting, and this blood would be smeared on Evans' face so that he could just prevent others, all the authorities, police authorities, from identifying him or the real McCleary. Embarrassed, Jackson now apologized and sent the invigilator back to Evans' cell. At 9:25 a.m., finally the exam began 10 minutes behind the scheduled time because Jackson took time to fix McCleary, the invigilator, and also because of Avon's insistence that he could not concentrate with Stephens hovering in the cell. Stephen was thus positioned at the door of the cell throughout the examination. Now at 9:40 am, the governor received a call of assistant secretary from examinations board regarding the correction slip. Now this was quite natural, so without verifying, without giving a thought, the governor blindly transferred the call to Jackson to take care of the correction slip. However, after transferring the call, the governor feared if the call was a fake one, or it might be a sort of signal for Evans, or a kind of secret message for him. He cross-checked it by redialing the number, but it turned out to be busy. Since the number was busy, the governor assured himself that this was to be expected, considering that the assistant secretary was probably still speaking with Jackson regarding the correction slip. The governor even overheard McCleary reading of the correction, that is the German phrase goldene Löwen, but actually it implies golden lion, a small but crucial detail for Evans. Through the correction slip, two purposes were indeed served in the escape plan of Evans. First, it confirmed the escape location. That is, the name Evans got the name of the hotel, Golden Lion, which is situated in the middle of Chipping Norton, which he got from the index number and the center number, and where he had to reach after his escape. The equally important reason behind this call was to confirm the time at which Evans' paper had started so that they could calculate. Now, who is they here? So that Evans' friend could calculate the end of the exam and could think about, and they could plan out the other steps. Now, the phone rang again, and this time it was from the magistrate court. Magistrate court demanding a prison van and 2 prison officers for a remand case. Once again, the governor felt that something fishy was going on, but he calmed down himself as he was sure of his security arrangements, the precautions which he had taken. And the governor actually, he was doing all these things just for the sake of Brian. He wanted to give a confident look, wanted to give the impression that the situation was in his control. However, it was a fabricated call, and who gave this call? We know that this is a call, fake call from Avon's friend, who will be using this police van and police officers later on. Soon we will come to know how. 8:45 am, we find that for the first quarter of an hour, Stephens had dutifully peered through the peephole at every 1-minute intervals which he was assigned to. And he found Evans every time sitting, having pen between his lips and looking towards the door as if to get some inspiration or as if he was trying to recall something. And in what position he found McCleary? McCleary was silently reading his issue of the Church Time with one finger hooked under his clerical collar. Now it was always the same. So Stephen, finding this duty very childish, and to even moreover, he wanted to show that he is very confident and efficient, he left the cell door to come after short intervals. So he became ignorant. Moreover, he himself decided that he may increase the intervals. So now the short intervals soon became longer and longer, and very cleverly Evans used this short interval in order to disguise himself as McCleary. And at 10:50 am, we find that the governor overheard Evans seeking permission from the invigilator to put on grey blanket around his shoulders in pretext of feeling cold. But actually, it was not so that it was feeling cold, but actually he wanted to disguise himself as McCleary with ease. So McCleary also granted the permission. So now I hope students you must have noticed that how every minute counts in his complicated escape plan, and he was very particular about that. So students, you all must have noticed that in order to carry out his plan without any mishaps, how cleverly Evans has been using each minute to his utmost advantage. And this is what we have seen till now. So let's find out what happened at 10:51 am. 10:51 am, sharp at 10:51 am, Stephen was surprised to see a great blanket draped around Avon's shoulders. He wondered if the slightest change ought to be reported, but convinced himself telling that he was overreacting. He thought that there was never any sun on that side of the prison and it could be quite cold inside the cell. So it's quite obvious that he has put on the blanket. Moreover, more important was that he did not actually want to seem stupid or incompetent by overreacting about a harmless blanket. Now, 11:20 am, what happened? McCleary informed Evans that only 5 minutes remained. And at 11:22, Jackson received a call from the governor asking for Stephens. Stephen was ordered to escort McCleary out of the prison when the exam got over. Now, the most pivotal part in this complicated escape plan was this fake call to Stephen in the last 3 minutes of the exam. Already two fake calls was there. Till now, nobody has identified that one. But this fake call was the most pivotal one because this gave Evans and McCleary to use the pig's blood which was concealed in McCleary's inflated rubber ring. Remember about the blood? Now it is clear that why this blood. So now the final makeup, you can say, in order to disguise completely, or in order to not completely disguise, in order to hide the identity of McCleary, he wanted to use this blood. Actually, and why this was possible? Actually, Jackson mistook a stranger's voice on phone to be the governor's call. And he mistook this and all the blunder committed. Now, 11:25 am, the governor heard the final exchange between McCleary and Evans. Examination was successfully over, no problem was there according to the authorities. And when Stephens escorted the invigilator out, he was indeed bursting with pride that the governor had chosen him, not selected the senior officer Jackson. He was chosen for this important task, this important job. He observed, but while he was escorting the invigilator till the gate, he observed that the minister's Scottish accent seemed to be heavier than ever. Because in the morning he did not converse more, and now he was talking about that how the exam was, how did he fare well, or what he was doing. So he could make out that something, that is, he is sounding heavier, and that he also noticed that all of a sudden he appeared to be thinner than before. Now, why it happened so? This was because while walking into the prison, McCleary was wearing 2 layers of clothing. And with 2 layers of clothing, and while going out, when the exam got over, he had already given one set of clothing to Evans so that he can disguise as McCleary. Now, the very interesting thing will happen that once McCleary was escorted out, Stephen peered into Evans' cell for the final look. He just wanted to check everything is fine or not. He was shocked as he was met with a horrifying sight. This was not expected what he saw. He saw that McCleary was smeared in blood and sprawled on Evans' chair in a semi-conscious state. a grey regulation blanket slipping from his shoulder. This was the condition what he saw and in what state McCleary was. He jumped to a conclusion that McCleary had been injured by Evans and Evans escaped after injuring the invigilator. A very hasty conclusion was drawn by Stephen, and the whole machinery, the whole system, you can say, the whole department blindly goes by his assumption without even establishing the identity of the injured McCleary. And what somehow helped Evans to hide the identity of McCleary, this was the blood that played the important role in his makeup and whatever you can say, it helped him in order to disguise as McCleary. Let's now find out the real purpose of the question paper. The wounded invigilator, actually the real Evans, was taken to the governor as he had some important information. He offered to help the prison officers track Evans and told them that Evans, that is here McCleary, had gone towards Elsville. He got to know this through a photocopied sheet pasted cleverly on the last blank page of the question paper, on which the detailed escape plan was given in German. Evans was instructed not to hit the invigilator too hard. He was told to proceed to Elsville Way. From there, he was to drive to Headington roundabout and thereafter to Newbury. Now, the fact that Evans' exam paper contained instructions for how to break out of jail, and those instructions were photocopied onto the actual question paper, suggested or made everybody believe that someone from the examinations board was actually on Evans' side, as examinations board was in Elsville Way. So the governor, blindly, without giving a thought, ordered Carter, the detective superintendent, to take McCleary, actually real Evans, with him because he would help them to find the culprit. In this way, we find that the injured McCleary, real Evans, was able to befool the prisoner officers by misguiding them. Now it's very clear, it's revealed out that what is the real purpose of the question paper left behind. It was not only to give the final details of the escape to Evans, but it was also to make the authorities believe that the wounded man was actually McCleary, not Evans. Now, it also misled authorities at every step, though the governor felt that it was an oversight on the part of Evans, and he was happy about that. Here students will come to know how real Evans managed to escape from the authorities. Actually, what happened? The detective superintendent informed the governor of Evans being near Elsville Way towards Headington roundabout. They got the number of the car and had given chase at once, but they had somehow lost track and Evans could not be traced. He also informed that the wounded invigilator, actually who the real Evans, had been sent to hospital because he started feeling sick. So they had called an ambulance and dropped him on the roadside to be picked by the ambulance so that Carter could continue his chase after Evans. Now this even Carter did because it was suggested by Evans, the real Evans, as he wanted to just misguide the authorities, that's it. But none of them could make out, see through this. Now, when the governor called up the hospital, he came to know that they had sent an ambulance to the examination board, but the churchman had already disappeared. It was then the governor understood the whole plan and realized his mistake, that it was Evans impersonating McCleary who had stayed in. This was correct, and this information, this guess was correct because they found the real McCleary gagged and bound at his flat. Thus, we find that Evans, the real Evans, managed to escape from Detective Carter. Towards the end of the story, Evans was shocked to find the governor waiting for him in a hotel room where he had reached after making his escape the fourth time. The analysis of the hints, like the correction slip, suggested the name of the hotel where Evans was to stay to the governor. The index number 313 and the center number 271 helped the governor conclude that Evans must have gone to Chipping Norton because these six digits, together when referred to the survey map of Oxfordshire, showed it to be the middle of Chipping Norton. Thus, the governor, using his intelligence, was able to trace Evans and even nabbed him again. He arrested him and came to know how he planned his complicated escape with the help of his friends. A silent prison officer now handcuffed the recaptured Evans and took him to the prison van because the governor had ordered so, and it seemed as if it had been all over for Evans. When the Evans said that the next September some O-level Italian classes were being planned, the governor suggested that Evans might not be still at Oxford prison coming September because he had already given his successful escape from Oxford prison, so he would be certainly shifted to different prison by then. The biggest negligence here was not to verify the authenticity of prison officer with whom the governor sent Evans after he was rearrested. He let him go instead of escorting himself, Evans, to the Oxford prison. He let him go with the prison officers, and thus we find that Evans befooled the governor due to governor's carelessness and negligence. Both the prison officer and the prison van were part of the plan devised by Evans' friends. The officer opened his handcuff on Evans' instructions, and the driver of the van took the van towards Newbury. Now, going to Newbury suggests that Evans might even want to be caught so that he can undertake the challenge of breaking out again. He is definitely enjoying this challenge, so he want to take again and again. Once again, thus we find that with his smartness, keen observation, meticulous planning, and of course, the strong network of his friends, Evans was a free bird. And in this battle of wits between him and the prison authorities, Evans had the last laugh of confidence and victory over the governor. Well, now let us take a look at the character traits of main characters in this story. So we find Evans is described as a friendly, cheerful man who happens to be a kleptomaniac rather than a violent criminal. He is recognized as one of the stars at the Christmas concert. His strength is imitations, like famous comedian Mike Yadu. He is also known for his uncanny ability to break out of prisons 3 times, and for this particular reason, he has been labeled as Evans the Break by the prison officers. He outsmarts all with his intelligence and presence of mind. Evans is a crafty planner. Even in the worst circumstances, he does not lose his cool. Now, talking about the governor, he is intelligent, no doubt, but a proud, self-conscious and overconfident fellow. He makes hasty conclusion and is a gullible fool as Evans tricks him again and again. Because of his overconfidence, boasting, and self praise, he does not check the identity of the prison officers before handing over rearrested Evans, and this actually, you can say, indeed brought him disgrace. He has great regard, although he has great regard for Evans' intelligence and presence of mind. Now, talking about Jackson, the senior, young, and alert police officer, he is instrumental indeed in Evans' escape plan. Though he looks stern, he is soft at heart. He lacks intelligence in not recognizing a stranger's voice posing as the governor's voice. He is careless not to check McCleary thoroughly. He takes things lightly and casually. He also takes delight in ordering people around him. Evans and Jackson are somehow, you can say, warm enemies. Now, Stephen is a blurry, slurry looking man, newly recruited into the jail security, a devoted to duty, deeply conscious but not mentally alert. Somehow negligent, he is also negligent and hasty in his actions. Talking about one of the main friends of Evans, we find McCleary, who is very instrumental in the success of Avon's complicated escape plan. Because he is a good impersonator, he is very confident and intelligent that the jail authorities do not suspect him. McCleary is no doubt a reliable friend. He keeps his calm and has a strong presence of mind, just like Evans. He is smart enough to answer Jackson regarding the rubber tube, and very cleverly he managed the situation. So this is all about the character traits of the main characters in the story. Now, this is not only a escape mystery and a thriller, as I told you earlier, but the story also imparts some noteworthy life lessons because it conveys a strong message that we need to be calm and calculative, and the necessity of listening to one's gut feelings and not only following one's sense of pride and decorum. What we have seen that how each and every police officer were doing and the mistakes committed by them. This also brings to light the fact that one should not underestimate one's opponent. The police officers were thorough in their preparation, no doubt, but they underestimated Evans and his power to give them the slip. Hasty conclusion always blurs clear thinking, so we should avoid this. Finally, we should learn that the police authorities should be alert, active, and inquisitive. They should not be overly sympathetic towards a criminal. Here are a few important questions from the chapter that will definitely help you to check your comprehension. So, without fail, give an attempt to solve them and deepen your understanding. You can definitely take help from the explanation which I have just given to you, and I am extremely hopeful that you all must have got the in-depth explanation of this chapter. I am really looking forward to your valuable comments. So stay tuned and thank you for watching.